Today, Sal and I are talking about something that is constantly on my mind. And if I think back, it's probably been on my mind for most of my life. And it is the aging slippery slope. And you might think, well, why the heck has that been something that's been on my mind, from a very young age? And it has to do with, what I've seen and what I grew up with. But before I delve into that, I wanted to ask you a question, Sel. Do you think a lot about the aging slippery slope? And you do, okay.
Yes, very
You're
aware of it.
very aware of it. And do you actually, has it been something more recent for you, or has it been something over the past 10 years? Could you pinpoint when you started thinking about it?
Probably about the last 5 years, I would say.
Yeah,
The last 5 years. And it would probably have been perimenopause, I would say. Things
yeah,
were starting to happen. Yeah. And it's like,
yeah.
oh, okay, I'm getting
Things
old.
Yeah, things are changing. So that
Yeah.
the mid to later 40s type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
definitely.
Okay. So ladies, after you've had a listen to today's live, we'd love to know, for you, have you actually thought about the aging slippery slope, and like when was it for you? When did it first start to pop into your mind? So I'm just going to take a little step back and a walk down memory lane for me. So growing up, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. So my nana and pop, that's my mum's mum and dad. And actually, in fact, I lived with them. So mum and I actually lived with them. So as a young person, I was exposed at a really young age of the impact that health diseases and immobility can actually have on your life. And I saw the impact of just sitting and looking at like four walls constantly and what that meant. And then having that level of independence taken away from you, things like not being able to get up and down by yourself, not being able to shower or dress yourself, not being able to go out without assistance, not being able to cook meals. That is, if you love cooking meals. It's not a big deal if you don't like cooking meals. Yeah, that's you. um, and there was just so much more that I saw. And then, if I fast forward that, my mum has those same health diseases that my nana had. And she's had them from a really young age. So she's had them from 30. So I've witnessed that decline, basically every decade as to what's going on there. And so I've been around it pretty much my whole life. And that's why it's something that has always been constantly in my mind. So, I see mum struggling to get herself up out of the chair and sometimes can't get herself up out of the chair, grasping for breath when we've literally gone from my car is parked outside of her unit and she's walking from her unit to the car and she's huffing and puffing like crazy. And and she's slowly become more disengaged in life, and I can see those four walls closing in around her. And, when we've talked about it, she's often said, I've never imagined my life to be like this. But I always say to her, there are little things that you could do to help yourself. And she goes, no, this is the way it is. Yet, look, you and I know in our heart of hearts that it isn't the way it is, that it can be different. So let's talk about what the aging slippery slope is. I would describe it as the decline in your mobility, your strength, and your overall physical function of what you're able to do. So you'll notice things like your muscle mass declines, your strength declines, your balance and coordination gets a little bit off. You might notice more aches and pains and the like. And what it starts to do is it impacts your everyday life activities as well as, you know, those fun activities that you like doing as well too. And they start to feel more challenging. But it is possible to prevent or to at least slow that impact down so that we can play and participate and, you know, energetically in our life. So, Sal, do you want to talk about like some of the things that the ladies have told you that they've noticed or you've noticed yourself personally, and how that's translated in life for you?
So for me, I noticed, and you know, we'll go into becoming aware and all that sort of thing. But I noticed for me, it was coming downstairs.
Yeah,
This
okay.
fear's coming to my mind, and I always talk about that. It was this. I've got stairs in my house, so it was this coming down the stairs, and I'm starting to hold on to the
Mm,
stairs.
mm-hmm.
And it was what the moment, because I've never been scared of myself. Lived in this house for 16 years, never been scared of my stairs,
Yes.
and all of a sudden I'm holding on to the stairs.
Yeah.
Another thing I noticed, getting up off the couch, and I'm sure we all do this. We get get up off the couch, and it's a minute, uh, uh, you know, and you just sort of, kids tell me I look like a T-Rex walking across the lounge room, because your body's like trying to get moving type thing, and you know that goes to that your mobility in your joints,
Mm.
and those sort of things. Sleeping.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed it in my sleep, affecting my sleep. Um, you know, and that was coming down to not only menopause, but that comes down to exercise as well. You know, if you're not moving, you're probably not sleeping very well.
Yeah, true, true. You know, and the interesting thing about all of this is our bodies are pretty clever and they send us those warning signs. So, but it's up to us to pay attention to our body and what it's actually telling us, and then to actually do something about it, because it's really, really easy to ignore those warning signs. Look, I know that I have, and in the past, and I still do it every now and then now even. So I catch myself sitting more. I start to move slower than I used to. Um, and I just generally catch myself, I suppose, cheating on things, if you want to say it, on
Yes, yep,
how to do things. And it's easy to miss the first time that you do something different, but it then becomes that normal way of doing it. And then what happens is it then declines even further from then. So it's really, really important to notice those subtle shifts that you've got going on.
yeah. And it's interesting that you mentioned, you know, about our body and the things that we notice. And I read this amazing quote today, and I thought, oh, you know, that is just so true. Our bodies work so hard every day to keep us alive,
Yeah.
and we treat them like crap, for want of a better word,
Yeah.
you know. And I thought that is so true. You know, our bodies are working so hard every day to keep us moving, keep us flexible, keep us mobile, and we just push against that
Mm, we
because we
do.
don't want to move, and we make up all the excuses why we can't do this, why we can't do that. And you know, you're talking about the slippery slope, and you know, the mobility, the flexibility, the
Yeah.
strength. And I wanted to add that the mind, and how many more I can'ts that we add in. I can't do that. I can't do
Yeah.
that. I can't do that.
Mm,
You
mm,
know, and it's just, I think 9 times out of 10, it's just an excuse.
mm. So, ladies, just to put you in the picture, I haven't been well this week. I don't often get sick, but when I do, it just brings me undone. But one of the things that I just mentioned to Sel is, you know, that even though I have been sick, I still wanted to go outside and get in the sunshine because I honestly believe that sunshine and being outdoors has a healing power on us. And there's a lot of research around that as well, too. But I just rattled off the steps that I did each day to Sel, and they were between, what was the lowest there, Sel? 13,000?
I thought it was 16
Oh, yeah, no, I think it
and
was a bit low.
19.
Yeah. So it was somewhere between 13 and 19 whilst I've been sick. And so it was interesting. And, I wasn't pushing myself. I was resting. I was, laying down when I needed to. But when I felt like moving, I would get out and move as well too. And then what I also then said, oh, let me check my pace in which I was walking, and I'm still above average for my age. So even at my slowest amble, so which is a really interesting thing to actually look at from the perspective of I could have easily just moped, I suppose, for want of a better description, and gone, I feel like absolute garbage and
Yeah,
I don't want to do anything.
yeah,
And I did do that for periods. I just slept. But when I got up and started moving around, my body was telling me this was good for me.
yeah, yeah.
And
Especially
so
going out in the sunshine. Yeah,
And so I would walk outside then in the sunshine. And once I got out in the sunshine, it motivated me to just keep going that little bit longer as well too. So,
mm.
which is really interesting. Bodies are so fascinating.
They are absolutely fascinating. And this is, I think, sometimes when you see those aches and pains coming in, and you're becoming aware of the aging slippery slope, and we can tend to just sit back on the couch because I've
Mm,
got an ache, I've got a pain, I don't want to aggravate it. What if I make it worse? What if,
yeah.
it's this horrible, horrible thing that's happening to my body? Whereas it's, well, what if it could be better by
Mm,
movement?
yeah.
you know
Yeah.
and as you said, you were feeling awful, but you went outside, you did your walk, and you weren't going at your normal pace,
No.
um, and you're feeling better.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
not 100%, but you're feeling better.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It just, made me feel good that I'd actually probably just got out there and embraced a little bit of what else was going on in the world rather than just
Yeah,
laying on my bed, you know?
yeah.
And I think
And
that's
compared
important.
to what you normally do during a week with your strength workouts and all that sort of thing,
Yeah.
you didn't do those, but you didn't completely cut out movement altogether.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's the important thing is that
Mm.
to know that there's always some way that we can do something, and the reason that I started talking about that was you were talking about, all the excuses that we have. And they are really excuses. I don't have time, I don't have motivation. Um, the list just goes on and on. Whereas if we just simply go, I'm just going to do something,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
it can definitely have an impact. And then quite often with those aches and pains, what we can do is we can think that we can't do something because of them. But
yeah.
the reality is that there is always something else
Something
that
else.
we can do, and we say that all the time. I mean, we got an email through this week from one of our lovely clients who has got, um, a very rare type of situation. It's not a life-threatening situation, but it's rare. And it means there's a lot of different exercises that she cannot do because of it. And so we now will then give her alternates for when we're doing those particular exercises that she shouldn't be doing as well too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
So,
always something. I had a lady on Monday breakdown, because she felt like she was lagging behind everybody. And it's the same situation. She has a lot of medical issues.
yeah.
But she knows she's got to get working out and moving and that sort of thing. But she broke down because she felt like she was behind everybody. And I went, you're not behind anybody.
Yeah.
This is your journey. The only person you're in competition with is yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
And you have acknowledged it, and you've become aware of it, and you're doing something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this slippery slope, there are so many things in life that could really indicate that you're on it. We could be compromising how we're getting down and getting things out of our lower cupboards, how we're reaching up to our higher cupboards, what we're doing in the laundry with the laundry basket, how we're putting a bra on, which we talked about the other week, how we're putting our shoes on, how we're putting our pants on, like the list goes on and on and on. So I think what it's important to do is to go question yourself. How was I doing this particular thing? And how am I now doing it? Because if you know that there is a difference there, then you have the opportunity to change something. So, and I think that would be one of the first tips that I would make is pay attention to those early warning signs, because the earlier you get it, then the earlier you can correct it and make a better habit for yourself of doing it to how you want to do it. And think about how you want to do it, not just now, but how you want to do it as an 80 or a 90-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yep. Have you got a tip on it, Sal?
I have, extending on that, make that list in all parts of your life. So how are you getting in and out of your car?
Mm-hmm.
How are you getting in and out of your shower? Are you holding on when you're getting in and out of the shower? How are you using your toilet? Holding onto the wall, getting up and down. Eating dinner, eating breakfast, all these things at the dining room table. Make that list and see, even your laundry. How are you carrying your laundry basket outside, and where are you placing your laundry basket? Have you suddenly decided to get a trolley to put your basket in? So I would make a list that covers every aspect of your life. As you said, you're getting in and out of your clothes, those sort of things, getting in and out of bed, getting up and down off a chair. It's just endless.
Yeah, getting in and out of the car, carrying your groceries.
Groceries,
yeah.
Parking at the supermarket. Where are you parking at the supermarket?
Yeah.
And getting closer and closer and closer to that front door,
I've got to laugh because I park further and further away.
Yeah.
Why is that? I must be so weird, like seriously.
I park further away too.
Okay, we'll be weird together.
I don't think that's more slippery slope, is that it's more people in the car park that I go into a little bit. They could back into your car.
Okay. A little
So
bit
if I
suspect.
if I back farther enough away, my car's safe.
Yeah. I think the second tip that I would say is to prioritize your strength, your stability, and your flexibility. So make sure if you're exercising that that's the focus for you.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And when we say flexibility, we actually mean flexibility and mobility. And I think probably when we say mobility, you probably think older person, wheelie walkers, but mobility just means the ability to move easily and freely. So it's it's
Yeah.
it's definitely a young person thing. It's not just an old person thing. So
No.
yeah.
No.
So every single one of us should be strength training in some way. And I think one of the things that many of us don't know is that when you strength train, what actually happens is that you are increasing your flexibility at that same time as well too.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're freeing up those joints and those sort of things. So that, then goes into your mobility, as you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Any other tip from you, Sel?
My second tip is going back to those I can'ts.
Oh, okay.
How many I can'ts are you using a day? I was going to say a day. How many I can'ts a day? How many I can'ts are you using a day? I
Mm.
can't do that. I can't do this. And using that as, if someone asks you, hey, do you want to go hiking, or do you want to go and play 10-pin bowling, or,
Yeah.
those sort of things. Do you want to go shopping? Oh, I can't. Because in the back of your mind, you're going, oh, my knees are sore, or my hips are sore, or I'm going
Yeah.
to be too slow. I'm going to slow them down. So check in on those I can'ts. How many the I can't excuses that you're coming up with.
Mm. I mustn't have a lot of friends, so I'm not getting asked to go anywhere.
It's all right. I'm not either. And I must admit, though, COVID made me a homebody.
Me too. Me too. My third tip is to get support and help, like reach out to professionals. And I think that's an important thing as well too. Just making sure. Now you mentioned aches and pains earlier as well. So, if you have got aches and pains, have they been diagnosed? Or are you just going, oh, I've got sore knees or sore hips or something, as opposed to actually getting it checked out and knowing what it is? Because if you know what it is, then you have the opportunity to actually address it in the right way.
Absolutely. And because the other thing, like the old saying, use it or lose it, is
Oh, yeah.
so um is so, is so true.
Mm,
Because what happens is if you're not using it, those ligaments and tendons, which is your flexibility and mobility,
yes.
are shrinking because you're not using them.
Mm,
And
mm,
that's where more than likely your pain's coming in and your aches are coming in. So the
yeah.
more you use it, you're not going to lose it.
Yeah, and that range of motion isn't just about that as well, too. It's like getting down on the ground and, walking out, doing a walkout with your hands and things like that. So many ladies are unable to do that basic thing. So, question yourself, can you get up and down off the ground in some way,
Absolutely.
shape, or form?
Mm.
Or is it hurting you to get up and down off the ground? And if so, is it because you're doing it in the correct manner, in the incorrect manner?
Correct manner, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You've got to have a couple of ins in there. And or is it because you've just stopped doing it and you are on that slippery slope?
Yeah, yeah. Because there's a big difference, and I like to tell ladies this, especially when we're doing stretching or doing any exercise. There's a big difference in I'm sore, I don't like that, to
Mm.
pain, to physical pain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think it's very important to differentiate between the two. Don't mesh the two up and say, well, I'm in pain, but in actual fact you're not. You're just sore because you haven't used what you were given.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that soreness can come when you're sitting looking at a phone or a laptop, because you're hunched over. So you're restricting, your chest muscles, but you're, overstimulating all your back and your neck muscles. So, and you're definitely going to get sore from that, which
Oh,
means,
absolutely.
you want to be opening up those muscles and working
Mm.
muscles that are not being used. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you have a,
definitely.
do you have a third tip?
My third tip, as always, write it down. Get a little book.
Oh, you love writing it down. So you got make
Get
a
a
list and
little
write it
book.
down.
Yes, get a book. The things we were talking about before is, my first tip there was, where is it in your daily life? Write it in
Mm,
your book. You know,
mm.
have a scale, 1 to 10.
Yeah,
Getting out of bed, I'm at a 1,
yeah,
and you will literally have your own slippery slope to see where you are.
yeah. We probably have that list, but one of the things that I was thinking about, Sal, is we have a guide that is the 5 ways to instantly know if you are on the slippery slope, and they were the 5 most common ones that we actually see. So if anybody wants that, just message us at the bottom of this
Yes.
and let us know that you'd like that guide, and we'll shoot it off to you. So we just rate it by, I think it's easy, uneasy, and yeah, one other thing, I can't remember what it was off the top
Easy,
of my head.
honest, yeah.
Mm,
But I just want to add to that slippery slope list
mm.
was, you actually had one the other day, and you did it independently. It was grip strength.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
That's in your everyday life.
Yeah, so I was talking about opening bottles and jars and
So
everything like
does, and
that.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
did
I
it used to be easy? Now are you getting one of those special jar opener things, or
Beautiful kitchen gadget things. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because grip strength, if we're noticing a decline in grip strength, we really have to do something about it, because everything that we do, almost everything we do, we're using our hands for it. So if we're not taking care of these little things and they are declining, then we're not going to be able to do those things later in life. And particularly, like Sal, if we're in our 60s now, we might start to notice it becoming more often. So we're noticing things happening more often. But when you get into those 70s, that's really where, those big physical changes can start to happen. So if you're
Mm,
still in your 50s, there's loads and loads of opportunity to make really strong and connections and corrections right now. And
mm.
there's no reason why you can't do it in your 60s too. And there really is no reason why you can't do it in your 70s or beyond. A good friend of mine, her mum only started going to the gym in her 80s. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and you see stories like that all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so
what's the one thing you, as an independent 60, 70, 80, 90-year old, they hold on to it for dear life, is their driver's license.
oh yeah.
That gives them independence. What does that
Mm,
relate to? Your grip strength. If you're
yeah.
losing that strength, you're not going to be able to drive.
Yeah. And there's then the strength in your legs getting in
Mm-hmm.
and out of the
And
car.
out, yeah,
Yeah. So, how well can you squat as
yeah,
as an exercise?
mm,
And if that squat's feeling wobbly for you, then that would indicate that the stability is an issue. So therefore, it's time to work on stability. And, like 9 times out of 10, that's where we all have to start,
yeah,
is at stability. because we generally find it's the balance thing as well that's gone.
Yeah, coming down the stairs, for me, that fear creeping in, I'm going to fall.
Yeah.
And for goodness sakes, I'm not even 53 yet and I'm falling down the stairs.
And I was, and it's just, and it could be that fear of falling as well too, isn't it? That fear that your balance is starting to decline, so therefore I'm going to fall down these stairs. I've just booked a ski trip, and so I was looking at the lift passes and the cost of those, and I've just went, oh geez, they get cheaper after 75. It's like just a really, really small amount, and I'm thinking, wacko. So here in Australia, I think that that first level of discount that you get on the snowfields is about 65. But then once you get into those 70s, you start to get those really good discounts. I'm hanging out till I'm 70. I've got a lot of years to make up for. So
you do.
Those of you for those of you who don't know, I only took up skiing in my 40s, and it was like, maybe I'll like it, maybe I won't. I probably won't, because I'm a Queensland girl, so what am I going to like about the cold? But I loved it. I really loved it. And so there's a lot of years to make up for. And I've been trying to go skiing for the last couple of years for my birthday, and that hasn't happened. So
no.
This year
we're supposed to be a ski trip for your 60th, but COVID had other ideas.
It did have other ideas, but it had other ideas for everybody else who was having birthdays over the last couple of years too. So
Yes.
All right. So thanks for joining me today, Sel.
Thank you for having me, as always.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Thanks for joining us, ladies. I hope you've enjoyed this episode today, where we've been talking about the aging slippery slope. But it really boils down to just being aware and listening to your body and noticing those subtle shifts that can be happening in everyday life that can be telling you that, hey, there's something going on here and you need to do something about it. So thanks, everybody.
And if you need that guide, let us know.
Oh, yes, that's right. Don't forget to let us know about the guide. See yourself.
Yep. Bye.
Bye, ladies.
Bye, ladies.